All right, welcome. We live in a world that is just overflowing with noise, right? So today we're going to talk about how to forge something really powerful, a tool for just unwavering focus. We're going to build what's called the iron mind. So let me ask you something straight up. Have you ever failed just because you lost focus? Like you were right there on the edge of a breakthrough and then, poof, it all shatters. That feeling, that frustration, it's something we've all felt, and that's exactly where our story begins today.
See, this isn't some abstract theory. We're going to look at this through the story of a student who is dealing with this exact problem. A problem that, let's be honest, a lot of us know all too well.
Okay, so let's dive into the first part, when focus fails. We're talking about the real cost of distraction.
So picture this, right? The student, he had one single goal. He was prepared, he knew what he had to do, but then at that absolutely critical moment, this storm of distractions just hit him. Doubts, notifications, interruptions, you name it. And boom, failure. So totally frustrated and pretty much at his wit's end, he did something really smart. He went looking for answers. He sought out a mentor, a wise coach, to figure out what went wrong.
And this brings us to the core of the whole thing, the glass of water. Because the coach's lesson, well, it wasn't some complicated strategy. It was a simple but incredibly powerful idea.
So the coach tells him this. Your task is to walk through a busy village with a full glass of water and not spill a single drop. Look only at the glass. Now, think about that. The challenge sounds simple, right? But the most important part, the real test, wasn't about the walking. It was about where you put your attention. Look only at the glass. That's everything. And here's how that metaphor breaks down for us in our daily lives. Think of the barking dogs. That's all the chaos. Your phone notifications, that little voice of self-doubt, constant interruptions, even other people's priorities trying to become yours. But then you have the glass of water. That is your one thing, your target. It's your main goal, the task you're focused on right now, your intention for this very moment. It's the ultimate contrast between chaos and clarity. And that is what we're calling the iron mind. It's this state of mental discipline where you are laser focused on your target, the glass of water, and you consciously, deliberately choose to ignore all those distractions, the barking dogs.
Okay, so this all sounds great, right? But how do we actually build this iron mind? Well, the coach didn't just leave the student with a nice story. He gave him a real, actionable framework. Let's get into what he called the 4 iron rules. Yeah, that's it. This whole powerful concept, it all comes down to just 4 simple rules.
Okay, let's walk through these. Step 1, define your water. You have to know your one true objective with absolute, crystal clarity, no ambiguity. Step 2, see only the water. This means you lock your mental and your visual focus entirely on that target. Nothing else gets in. Now, step 3 is the game changer. Expect the dogs. You have to acknowledge that distractions are just inevitable. They are going to show up. By expecting them, you actually strip them of their power to surprise you. And finally, step 4, ignore the dogs. When they start barking, you make the conscious choice not to engage. You don't bite them, you don't get mad at them, you just let them bark and bring your focus right back to the water. It's a choice, not a reaction.
So, we've got the story, we've got the metaphor, and we have the rules. Now for the most important part, putting it into practice. How do we start living with an iron mind?
So look, if there is just one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. The secret to this kind of focus, it's not finding a world without distractions. That's a total fantasy. The real secret is building the discipline to ignore them. Because the noise, it's always going to be there.
So here's a quick checklist you can use like right now. Before you start any important task, just ask yourself these 4 questions. 1. Is my goal clearly defined? 2. Am I focused only on that goal? 3. Have I accepted that distractions are going to pop up? And 4. Am I prepared to ignore them when they do? If you can say yes to all 4 of those, you are ready. You're on your way to forging that iron mind.
And that brings us to the final and honestly the most important question. The one this whole thing has been building up to. I'm asking you directly, in your life, in your work, in what you're trying to achieve, what is your glass of water? And maybe more importantly, are you ready to ignore the dogs?